How y'all feeling tonight? Come on. This is the second annual Grammy Museum Hip Hop Block Party. My name is Skylar O'Neill. I'm the Senior Manager of Education and Community Engagement here at the Grammy Museum. I have the privilege of putting this event together, but really what makes this event is all of the people that are taking part in the activations, bringing their networks together, bringing their audience together. And I'm so excited for the podcast, the live podcast that we're getting ready to do. I'm actually a fan of the show, so I reached out, was like, hey, would you want to do a live Culture United here? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? We got some Culture United fans here. Awesome. Give another round of applause, Well, we got an amazing panel that's getting ready to come and, talk culture. We're going to talk culture. So without further ado, I want to give a big round of applause to our host, Justin Hunte. It's all happening. Let me hear y'all say it's all happening.
Word up. Appreciate you, Scholar, man. That man right there is the nexus, the reason why I've been able to activate something I've had in my mind for a long time. This is Culture United. My name is Justin Hunte again. I'm a longtime hip-hop journalist, former editor-in-chief of Hip Hop DX, former director of content for Empire Distribution, former television writer, full-time cultural commentator. And 10 months ago, my friend Curtis King was like, yo, Justin, you got to start doing live streams. And this is the product of that fantastic advice. Culture United. Once a month, we bring together artists, rappers, actors, YouTubers, mavens across the cultural conversational divide for a light debate show and show what unity looks like. It's called Culture United because in these divided times, we need each other more than ever, and we can never forget that hip-hop is culture, but it's also community. So thank you guys for being here. It's our first one live. I'm excited. It's all happening. Round of applause for yourselves. All right, so now we're going to introduce our panelists. Up first, Jen DeLeon. Jen has been a host in the music industry for 15 years. Her work includes Hot New Hip Hop, Warner Music Group, Complex, BET, Ski TV, Rolling Loud, and more. She is currently an in-game host for the world champion Los Angeles Dodgers and the social media manager for Power 106. Round of applause for Jen DeLeon. Up next, from Carson, California to radio broadcasting school to international tours to your favorite radio stations, DJ Head is more than music. He has moved crowds on tours with the likes of Lil Wayne and Kendrick Lamar. In early 2022, he became the inaugural chairman of the Mac for Boys and Girls Club Los Angeles. DJ Head co-hosted Fox's nationally syndicated daily show, TMZ Hip Hop, iHeartMedia's Real 92.3 FM radio station in LA for 7 years, while serving as the BET Hip Hop Awards Cypher DJ. DJ Head can currently be heard hosting his own nationally syndicated radio show, effective immediately alongside Gina Views. Put your hands together for DJ Head. Coast Guard's in the building. Our next guest, Curtis King, is an independent rapper, music producer, author, and YouTuber known for empowering DIY artists with unfiltered insight and humor. He's produced for Kendrick Lamar, Ab-Soul, and E40, and reached #1 on the iTunes hip-hop charts with his self-released album, DIY 2. Through his popular channel, Curtis King TV, he's taught millions of artists how to build sustainable music careers without major labels. His motto, somebody's going to tell the truth, and I'm going to tell it. Put your hands together for Curtis King. And lastly, but certainly not leastly, that's the remix. A true staple, leader, and champion of Los Angeles hip-hop. From his classic work as lead MC on songs like What, to his prowess as a producer, engineer, and executive producer, Jason Martin has built a career elevating those around him. Most recently with his fantastic collaborative project with DJ Quick, Chupacabra, to his fantastic work crafting the sound of Lefty Gunplay and introducing him to the world on his highly, highly regarded project, Can't Get Right. Jason Martin has done it all while making lives better. What's better than that? Please welcome Jason Martin. feel like that was like the player.
That was hella fake. Where I came and shook hands because we wasn't back there already. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? There we go. We're having a good time in here. You know what I mean? It's traffic. You guys finally made it out the car. We finally started the show. So thank you guys for your patience, and thank you all for being here. Now, obviously the biggest story of the past year has been all things Kendrick and Drake, right? There's a million different topics that have been discussed ad nauseum over the past year. But in 2025, my personal favorite storyline that's come away from this generational rap beef is the reemergence of regional sounds, right? So there are a handful, so if you think about it, right, we're seeing some detours from where the internet has been over the past 15 years. In my opinion, it's just music is sounding like everybody's from the internet. But we have GNX now, which is a love letter to the West Coast. We have Big X the Plug. He sounds quintessential Texas. We've got Glorilla leaning, in my opinion, more into what's happening in Memphis than just the trap sound. Even away from hip-hop, we've got Bad Bunny, which is a love letter to Puerto Rico. If you look at what Joey Badass recently did in his battle against Daylight and Ray Vaughn, he leaned heavily into quintessential New York sounds, not necessarily New York drill. And if you look at Chupacabra and Can't Get Right from Jason Martin, there's a number of examples of people finding success while going back to the roots, representing for where they came from sonically. For each of you, do you guys expect this trend line to continue going forward and have people see artists have success with regionality? Or is this just sort of a blip on the radar over the past year?
Do you care what order we go in?
Yeah, jump in.
I mean, I hope so because, look, all of us here have been in the game for so long. And I feel like when we first came in, it was a lot more exciting. And then I feel like it kind of died down because of TikTok and just trying to go viral and not really focusing on the craft and the music. So I hope they continue the regional sounds because it just makes it more exciting again.
Definitely. I mean, hip-hop is diversity. The culture, the diversity of the culture is, to me, what elevates the artistry.
Everyone's looking
I think as far as the term regional sound, I that makes no sense to me personally. I've never bought an album and wanted to hear somebody from another state sound like they were from another one. You know what I mean? I think right now, the West Coast sound, well, what we do is what's pop. So we're not doing regional music if you're doing West Coast music right now because the most popular music in the world is West Coast music. You know what I'm saying? So I want us to keep doing West Coast music because Michael Jackson just did a West Coast album, and it's the biggest album we've seen in the last decade. So, yeah, Kendrick is Michael Jackson. And so y'all can act like that's not what it is. He is. You know what I'm saying?
9 second applause.
He's in stadiums. People are fainting. Kids are crying. It's exactly the same thing. And the fact, straight up, but the fact that this is his first album as a label owner, as an independent, was probably his most risky album for him. And for him to succeed sounding like his city just lets me know there's no such thing as regional. It's about who's the fucking dopest.
Word up.
Somebody got to tell the truth.
I'm ready for it, yeah.
So
Shit.
For me, my perspective is I've been advocating for people to sound like where they from since I got in this. Like, I'm not a fan of listening to somebody that's from Texas sound like they from New York and vice versa, or somebody that's from California who sound like they from the Midwest. So, like, I don't necessarily know if I would call it regional. I would just call it authentic. You know, me and Big Boy, we call it soil or turf. Like, it's just, you want to sound, I want to know what it's like, because when I remember listening to E40, it's like, oh, that's what life is like in the Bay. That's what it sounds like. When I'm listening to Glorilla, I'm listening to Memphis slang. And the only way for us to continue to evolve culturally is for us to understand and invest in and digest other cultures. So how the fuck do you do that if everybody is sounding like one culture? And so I'm a huge fan of, quote unquote, what you said, regional, but I'm a fan of people sounding like authentically where they from.
I like that.
I'm kind of in the middle between what both of y'all said right now, and that, like, when we're talking about regional pride, I feel like that's louder to me than regional sound. I feel like if you have a pride of where you're from, you're going to dip into the things in history that contributed to where you at today, right? I'm thinking about when I came up and I got home from high school and I turned on Rap City. And what I saw on Rap City was, this is what Detroit hip hop sound like. This is what, Milwaukee hip hop, stuff that I wouldn't otherwise have access to because this is pre-internet, unless I was buying physicals randomly. So I think regional pride is important. I think we're at a place now where everybody see the West Coast having so much damn fun. And because they've been playing the game that you've been talking about, Justin, playing the internet genre, they like, we want to have fun too. Why y'all over here having so much fun? But I think a lot of folks are detached from what their actual sound sounds like at home because they don't want to be home. They want to be in LA. They want to be in New York. They want to be in Atlanta. They want to be where everything is going. But to your point, everything is happening right here, right now. So I just think that artists hopefully capture a pride in their region and where they're from, and I think everything else will follow, hopefully.
I also want to add on to what you're saying. Like, we got to stop not mentioning Tyler, Creator's album that dropped a week before GNX. Because that's regional, too. He sounds like he's from fucking L.A. as well. We got this 808 and clap thing that people think that's the West Coast. That's not. I've been working with him since 2011, and he's never used those fucking sounds, and he's from the West Coast, too. So it's not really that. I think the West Coast, well, I'll say Los Angeles. I can't speak for everywhere else. Los Angeles is a lot broader than what we've been able to project. You know what I'm saying, on a mainstream level. So we have to start showing love to the guys that don't just add 808 and claps and don't just the shit that me and Head love, which is slaps. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm with him on the slaps for real, but we got to start showing love to the Tylers, the Dojas, the other people that are from this city that may not sound like typical Los Angeles, but they actually do.
Jason Martin and I sat for a conversation last December, and this is actually one of my favorite parts of that 2 hours. It was like 2 hour discussion or something like that. And one of the things that he pointed out was that when people think of LA, they think of a very specific sound. Generally speaking, probably the gangster sound more than anything else, right? But Alchemist is LA too. You know what I mean? Tyler's LA too. You know, Curtis King is LA too. will.i.am is LA too. And so in that regard, LA is all the sounds. And the point he was making, I thought was so funny because he was talking about Not Like Us. And he was like, they keep saying, oh, then he dropped the West Coast one. And Jason, you were straight up offended by that.
Yeah, because Soundwave's from Carson, and he did the first Euphoria. And Alchemist is from Los Angeles, and he did the other record. I mean, it's us. It's really us. It's gang culture that does that. We like to fight against each other for some reason, but even with Sonics. But Los Angeles isn't just one sound, but we definitely are dominating right now. And that's the point. Meaning, like, not the sound, the people that are from here. You know what I'm saying? And the brands that are from here. Like, you know, you can say SZA and Dolce, they're from over there, but they're under a West Coast brand. It's like Lady Rage was from Virginia, but she's from Death Row, so she's from the West Coast. Corrupt from Philly, but he's from the West Coast. I think just the West Coast, what we're doing, our lifestyle, what we represent, what's cool, has just swayed back this way. And I think that's what we need to celebrate, not really the Sonics, if that makes any sense. The culture of what we look like and what we represent.
I was going to say, ironically, when you put regional sounds out into the internet, I find the people that got the biggest objection is artists from other areas. Because I think what they look at is, well, if I make a regional sound, am I handcuffed by that? Because before everybody started loving the West Coast, I remember an era, I know these gentlemen remember an era where they said, you sound too regional. Like that was a bad thing.
Exactly, yeah.
But you brought up Chupacabra, and I'm like, there's so many different sonics and influences, but the thing that you can't take away is how L.A. Jason Martin is, and it's in you. It's not something that you can add spices and DNA. You can't give that to a pop artist and make them West Coast, right? So I think that's where I go back to the whole regional pride thing. But I think a lot of artists, they got more internet pride than they do regional, and that's part of the issue.
DJ Head is the Coast Guard. He's been representing his whole career, his whole life probably, right? And I'm very curious, 'cause I haven't talked to you about this, but with Joey Badass on the song Crash Dummy, right? I thought that was a very interesting mix, right? Because it takes the Junior Mafia sample that was taken by Pac for the Hit 'Em Up sample, but he remixed the beat in a new way, and then rapped with what some would describe as a West Coast flow. Right. I'm trying to be, just trying to. Is it West Coast flow? Everything is West Coast. But, Head, what was your thought when you heard that? Because I listened to it, and I was actually impressed that he could find that pocket. Because that's a very difficult pocket to find if you're not from here. Like, it's not an easy flow. What did you think about that, Head?
I thought it was clever. It's just, it's like most of the time when, actually, if I'm being honest, like, I actually appreciate when people try to emulate us in a witty way, because most of it is caricatures of us. Most of it is lowriders and fucking khakis, and it's like, it's that, but niggas is fly out here, though. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the best representation of LA at all, because I'm not fly. I wear sweats on red carpets. You know how I get out. My thing is, when someone puts thought into trying to trivialize or patronize what we do, I respect it, because it's like, oh, okay, you see us beyond. You put at least you put in a little bit of thought into what you're trying to make fun of from that lens. But other than that, it was just like, oh, it's clever, it's witty, I get it. I saw it immediately, though, the sample and then the TDE shit and like all of that stuff. So I was like, okay, this is dope. But more so than that, I was like, oh, that's what we do. Okay, now I call daylight. Like, hey, we gotta do some shit. It's like, what we doing? Like, just because, not because like in the spirit of competition. Like, it's not. And I made it. It just became an over the top, sensationalized type of deal. And so for me, when I heard the record initially, I was like, I go into reactionary mode. Like, oh, okay, we got to do something. It wasn't about everybody else and their records. It was more like, because we kind of turned it into this. I was gonna use an old ass reference, but we kind of turned it into like this Avengers type deal, and it's like, that ain't that. It's just like, let these niggas run their game or whatever. So for me, I thought it was witty and clever, but at the same time, I'm like, man, fuck that shit. Not like that, but I'm just. Is that bad?
No, I mean, it's honest.
I thought I that further let me know how hot we are. Because that was his grand finale. Like, all right, I'm finna hit him with the West Coast one. And usually it would be the reverse. You know what I mean? It just shows how powerful the sound has gotten because of the new Michael Jackson from Compton. Whoever fucking don't disagree. Let's see. Wait. I don't want to hear about none of that. They both dead. But I'm talking about what's happening right now. Right now, yeah. And that's what it is. And the homies is running it. That's just the reality. And I think people just got to really, like, buckle down and understand that that's what it is. You know what I'm saying?
I'm enjoying it. Y'all enjoying it? Y'all enjoying little Michael Jackson from Compton running right now? I'm enjoying it, I'll tell you that. Stackwell, what up?
Oh, that's that? I'm really finna be on your ass. He's definitely Mike. Okay, to you. I know, but you know how much he is. Yeah. Huh?
This like the.
Right. See, and listen, right now, this is the problem with the West Coast. Right here, in a nutshell. I'm in L.A., and I got a motherfucker in the front that ain't did shit that boy done did, talking about what he did. And Status from Atlanta talking about what the fuck something going on out here.
God.
And you see the point? And it took somebody from New York to curate this business. This is the whole problem with Los Angeles. Let's just clap. Let's just celebrate. While we winning, let's just celebrate the W's, fellas and ladies.
Applause.
Let's just celebrate.
What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen?
Clap for somebody.
We'll never forget his legacy as Michael Jackson. I hear.
hold on.
but you know what?
You guys are way too literal with what I'm talking about right
But
now.
I'm saying, look. But the fact that it warrants that reaction, I think that's the point of it. It's like if you're describing to somebody 30 years from now, how big was Kendrick in this era? What names are you gonna bring up?
Shit.
All right, moving on. We're going on. Moving on. Next topic.
Shit.
Next topic. We got a tight schedule.
Yeah, you're right. You from Compton. We don't have much.
BET weekend.
Nah, hell nah. Listen. You can ride for yours. I'm gonna ride for mine, and we can agree to disagree.
I feel like we got a troll in the comment section.
Oh yeah. And guess
Where are
what?
the moderators?
Guess what?
Can we get the moderators, please? No.
Guess what?
No,
And he from Atlanta, so I'm trying to tell you, like, listen, you gotta understand what's going on right now.
I'm telling you, this clip is gonna go viral. It's gonna be like, see, I told you they hate LA. They hate LA. They won't even let LA talk on the podcast. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next topic. Because we all got busy, a lot of events to check out. Now, this week, the biggest story this week, and I think is another story that surprised a lot of people when Pusha T did an interview with GQ, and he said that Def Jam dropped him because Kendrick was on a song, and they thought it was about Drake, and they couldn't tell the optics, so they dropped him. Right now, the next day, Stephen Victor, Clips' manager, completely cleared that up. Like he cleaned that up immediately. They weren't actually dropped. They bought out their deal, per Stephen Victor, per their manager. And it wasn't actually Def Jam. It was actually UMG's lyrics department, which is a big difference, right? Because I would have a fundamental problem if Def Jam Records is dropping Clips because of a Kendrick feature. I'd have a real problem with that. So I'm happy to say that wasn't the case. One second. We'll have a question and answer at the end. These guys got a time limit. Right. But it was UMG, right? So nevertheless, that was the big headline story. But there was a particular part in the Stephen Victor interview where he was talking about what Clips' future looks like at Rock Nation. And they're more of an independent to a degree, I guess. I think Jay-Z is involved. I'm not sure how independent that is. But in the conversation with Billboard, they talked about their radio prospects and their international prospects. And here's what Billboard asked. Billboard said, one thing you still hear about the majors is that to the extent that radio matters, they still have the muscle and they also have the international presence that's hard to replicate. Here's what Clips' manager, Stephen Victor, said in response. Cap, I call cap. I've done it on a smaller scale and a larger scale. All you need is a team you can hire, and you can outsource a great international team, a great radio team. For some artists, it's definitely more beneficial to be part of a major record label, but you don't need to be on a major record label to find success. Now, I think the tail end of that, I think is a lot of people, a lot of examples over the years have found success away from being on a major, or at least being a priority for a major. I think that's the case. But I was surprised to see him call cap on the international part and the radio part, because to me, that's like the last thing you go to a major for. You go for international, to get on the radio, so you can become a superstar, so you can pass the grandma test, so grandma can know what you're listening to, right? That's what I thought. But he calls cap on this, and we have a diverse panel of people who have, particularly with Curtis and Head, have very opinionated, probably differing opinions on the independent artist movement. But everyone up here, and Jen's worked at a record label. And so how do you guys react to Stephen Victor's statement that it's cap, that they have a stranglehold on international and on radio?
Everyone's looking at me. Okay, so my work with a record label was at Warner Music Group, but I'll get into that later. That experience, so I feel like I can't speak from the international side because I wasn't involved with that. But working with artists, I feel like as long as you have a strong team, you don't necessarily need a label or that big push. So I feel like whether it's artists or just anyone within the music business, I think that we're always looking, well, not all of us, but we think the way to get about in the music industry is we have to be with the corporate companies, or we need that big cosign, but really it's not true. I feel like if you really hustle and you put in that work and you have the right team around you, you can still find that success. I think so.
Round of applause. 9-second applause.
Now they're going to debate.
Why you gonna say that before I? He gonna whisper to me, "I don't debate." That's funny.
No, I just felt like this whole side, I'm like, you guys
No,
have
you
very different
Curtis-
opinions.
Curtis has built a tribe called the DIYers.
Yeah.
So, spoiler alert. Let's see what Curtis thinks about what Stephen Victor said.
No, I'm gonna give not a neutral, but a point of view that understands both sides. I remember being an artist in the early 2000s, and there was a time where that was the only route towards success. You got to enter this portal. You got to play by these rules. You must do this in order to get this. The issue that I saw with a lot of my peers is that a lot of these rappers and artists and singers and producers, they know what the hell they wanted. They wanted everything. And until they could specifically identify that, they went on a bunch of different rabbit holes, right? For me, I found myself saying very specifically, what do I value? I value autonomy, the freedom to do whatever I want to do creatively, work with whoever I want to work with. I value reach. Now, this is before the internet, but when the internet came along, well, not the internet, but social media. Social media and YouTube gave me the reach that I wanted. Now, for some people, that may not be good enough. That's what I wanted. Okay, the reach, the autonomy, the reach, and not having to answer to a middleman that got to call a middleman to call a middleman to tell me when I get paid for a beat. That happened to me. Funny enough, I got a placement and spelled my name wrong on the check. Okay, it happens. My name's not Curtis. That's cool. It took about a few extra months, and I really needed that money. Got evicted from the spot that I was in with my family. Come to find out, the office was down the street. I lived in Rancho Cucamonga. I thought everything was in L.A. It was down the street. And I think it's been a collection of those moments that said, dog, nobody's coming to save you. What do you really want from this? And what I really wanted is what I have today, is the freedom to go into a room today, upstairs, work on music, talk to my audience, have access without having to get permission, work with whom I want to work with, how long I want to, then open up that door and call my son's name and watch him run up, and I could take care of responsibilities like that and not miss a step in that. But that's what I value. Not to be too long-winded, but I think that's the biggest thing, especially because I do a lot of coaching with artists too. Please identify specifically what you want. If you're looking on TV and you saying, I want that, but I'm gonna do it all myself, you're lying. You are lying to yourself. Because I've been in so many of these rooms, I've seen what he was problem. I've seen how hard he was working in these rooms. I saw how many hands and how many people had to be involved. And there was a few times I said, I don't know if I want to do this. So I had to figure out, like, what do I want from this? Why have I been on this journey for 20 years? And I think it's a very personal question to ask, but you got to ask that first before you start trying to determine what you can and can't do. You got to have a reality check, and that's something that made me an independent artist, was having that reality check.
Well said.
So me and Curtis have had opposing views for a couple of reasons. I am a believer in independence. I'm also a believer in the DIY, but I'm also a person who has gone to therapy. I'm also a person who reads books. I'm a person who invests in my mental well-being. I consume books every day. I don't listen to just regular stuff. I listen to things that are going to enrich my mind. The problem that I usually have with the DIY approach via Curtis King or via Russ is it's being preached to the masses in a way that it's like, yeah, it's encouraging. Yeah, you can do it. That's not true. Everybody can't do it. And it's oversimplified to the point where Curtis King is immensely talented. Jason Martin is supremely talented. Silas and I had this thing where I don't think there's probably anybody better that can do what Probably can do in the city as far as what he does. You know what I'm saying? We've told people this, which is why we started our little boot camp. And when you get the different things that's come out of that or whatever the case may be, whatever the case. The point is, when people who are immensely gifted, I'm talking about not like, oh, like I'm a DJ, but I'm like, and I produce. I'm a fake ass producer. I can't play any instruments. You know what I'm saying? I can't listen to a key and tell you what a key is, what by sound, none of that. You play a beat, I can tell you what tempo it is. That's the extent of my parlor tricks, right? being that as it may, I understand and I've identified what Curtis just said. I know what I want, and I know what I can do, and I know what I can't do. I think when the masses is being told, hey, you can do it too, that's a lie. Because you can't, because you're not dedicated enough, you're not willing to make the right sacrifices, you're not smart enough. Whatever the case may be, I think self-actualization is what's missing in the thing that you're talking about, right? Self-actualization is like, oh, I can be a radio personality. Can you? Yeah, you just talk. Do we? You know what I'm saying? Or I can be a music producer. Oh, well, what do you play? I mean, I just drag and drop the chords and this and that. It's like, okay, that has a shelf life to it. So it's just about me. When I look at it, first of all, the first part about it is a record label. A record label is not here to take you from 1 to 10. A record label is here to take you from 5 to 10. It's your job to get you from 1 to 5. I don't know if people are aware of that. Second, same thing with radio. Radio's not here to get you from 1 to 5. Radio doesn't break records, haven't broke records in a decade plus. That's not what radio is there for. Radio is there for the passive listener. Radio is there for the everyday person who don't give a fuck about you, who just passively heard your song in Forever 21 and it's the ones where they on Dan Bankrupt. But in Walmart, and they just want to hear your shit while they playing with the baby in the back seat or whatever. Like, that's what
So
it
many
is.
SKUs.
Huh?
So many SKUs.
So the point is, when like the independents versus the major, and then also shout out to Jen because I know the work she's put in. People aren't willing to do what she's done. You know what I'm saying? I used to see her hustling with Ski, and I seen Jason Martin in the studio literally go in the studio by himself, create a whole body of work, and then parcel out that work to other individuals who weren't grateful for the work that he created for them. You know what I'm saying? I saw him engineer his own sessions. I saw him mix, master, Chupacabra. That's him and Quick. You know what I'm saying? If you go listen to that, that's them mixing and mastering. If you listen to the Lefty Gunplay project, that's him in there mixing that shit and doing like that's a gift. You know what I'm saying? That's either doing your reps or that's a God-given talent. When people oversimplify that you can do it too, no, you fucking can't. You know, I'm not picking on you, bro. I'm just saying.
I do got a rebuttal.
It's not a debate.
I'm just playing.
I'm just saying that I believe wholeheartedly that we live in a society that oversimplifies everything. You can be a politician. Well, shit, boy is a felon and he got 3 baby mamas. He can be president. Why I can't be president? Because you don't give a fuck about the presidency. You know what I'm saying? So it's like certain things that it's about passion. It's also about self-actualization. If you don't care enough to do 20 years worth of work into it or put your household on the line for it, or if you're not willing to do what everybody else is willing to, there's people that's willing to go further and faster and harder than you to do this thing. So I just don't like the oversimplification of it, is my perspective. That's just where I'm
9-second applause.
There's so many layers to that, you know, because I'll say for me, I've been fully independent my whole run, but my Rolodex is major label. So if you have the Rolodex of people where, okay, let's say I can go find an investor or I can scoundrel up 100,000 or whatever, and then I know Stat, and then I know DJ Head, then I know you. I can set up, okay, that's radio, that's press, and that's Ginsu Knife. Like, he can do everything. If you have that type of connection, you don't need to go major. But if it's just you battling the system, I think that's the route for the lazy man. You know what I'm saying? If you need assistance, if you need somebody to pay for it, if you need somebody to make you get somewhere on time, if you need somebody to book your stuff and utilize all their stuff, go that way. But you're going to get treated that way as well. I'm going to always say independent, or I'm going to always say partnership. Now, I'll partner with a major in a heartbeat. Like, I don't have no problem with doing business with anybody that's ready to do business with me. But to say that there's one way to skin a cat is cap. You get what I'm saying? That's not your way may be the major. Mine may be CDs hand to hand. I think your journey is your journey, but I think relying on somebody else's storyline to create your journey is the fucking problem with all of this shit. Russ is white. Let's not forget that. He's white as fuck, and he's Italian. So he can walk in different banks and get different fucking loans that I just can't get. But he leaves that part out when he's talking. And that's what I don't like. I actually hate that. Like, I hate it. because he pops is so fly. Like, all you gotta do is, no, I can't change my parents' melanin, so I can't fucking do that, Russ. I can't. But I fuck with you for doing that. Again, I've been blessed that all of my friends that I started with became mega people. I'm gonna keep pointing to Rich Ass Stat. That's why he's popping that shit back there, because he's done it majorly and independent. DJ Ed, we made mixtapes in bedrooms. Curtis King was part of League of Stars at one point. Like Jen, I've known all these people. Like they're part of the journey. They just became so killer. So now when I call them, it looks like two killer people are having a conversation. When it's just motherfuckers I've been knowing for the last 20 years. If we've developed that, you don't need to go to nobody's major because all the majors hire us. But that's rare. That's very rare. And it's very rare because everybody doesn't stick to their crew. Everybody gets nervous when it don't look right. Everybody's scared of numbers. Everybody's scared to fail. That's the problem with all of this shit. Because you can go sign to that major and be bumped. I seen that too. So there's no real answer. It's all on the character of the artist, the character and the push of your team, who you have around you, and then who you willing to call and ask for favors. Like, again, Los Angeles is the most confident, talentless, confident motherfuckers I ever seen in my life. I'm sorry, y'all. We got to fix it, so I'm going to say it. Because I just know who works and who don't. You know? I know who complains and who works. I know who tweets and who don't. I just see it. I think it's all in the soul. It's all in the person, all in the journey. So don't base nobody's reality off of somebody else's would be my answer to that question.
Can I chime in really quick? To your point, to your point, sir, because I think you made some very, very valid points. You said something, though. You said that the industry or the record labels are to get an artist that is at level 5 to get to level 10, right? That's their responsibility. Was that?
Well, without infrastructure. If you don't have infrastructure, then they provide it for you, like what you said.
Got you. I operate, obviously, coaching independent artists who sit in that 1 to 5, who don't recognize the responsibilities of doing it yourself until they have somebody give details. That's the one thing I've never been cheap on. Like when I say do it yourself, it's not the same thing that traditionally DIY has been. I had to learn how to make beats because I wasn't tight enough for nobody to give me no beats. I had to learn video editing because these video directors kept, taking my damn money, and I don't know that it doesn't take this long to edit a video, right? I didn't know how to make graphic art, so I paid somebody else to basically use templates that I now see on Canva. So the thing about it is, it's not necessarily do it yourself and you'll become the next Kendrick. It's insanely stupid. And when I talk to these artists, what I'm telling them is, instead of trying to figure out how to get from 1 to 10, for the 10 that you're talking about, recognize that 1 to 5 is your 10. If you can humble yourself and say, I believe that this is my ceiling. Let's say it's $200,000. $200,000 a year, right? Let's say it's $100,000 a year. I think there's so many artists out here who be popping that shit about what they want to be and they'll be the next dissident until reality hits them and they realize $60,000 a year will make you lazy as shit. You won't make any more music because you'll feel like you made it. I say that from the perspective of somebody who started making more money independently and through my YouTube, and I was like, is this all it was for? What's my why? I have to reestablish my why. I got tired of being in these situations where I was asking for help from somebody and I got taken advantage. So I said, you know what? Nobody's coming to save me. It's not about doing it yourself. It's about starting it yourself. I come in, you know what the funny part about it is? When I do this mentoring with artists, there's been so many times somebody has paid whatever the fee is to get into this program. They didn't pay just for my teaching. They paid to figure out they don't want to do this shit no more. Because when they realize, wait a minute, you editing that, you color correcting that, you producing that, I'm good. If that's what it requires for me to be able to make this amount of money as an independent artist, it's not for me. To me, I feel like that's the best service I can give somebody because maybe your music, maybe your calling, maybe music is your shadow career. And maybe what you should be doing is consulting your boy who's coming up and you have the ear for production and you can match him. You can kind of A&R his project. You never know what your true calling is. Little did I know, all the songs and all the beats that I'm making, I was going to be led into hip-hop media but I've always been a talker, right? It worked against me in some of these situations. I said too damn much in some of these rooms, but because of the space I'm in now, I have access to the people that my music couldn't always open the door to get to. So I think everybody has a unique route, and I think you got to really have a reality check. And sometimes going through the process and getting your ass kicked is the best teacher. So, yeah.
Yeah, but I felt like that about karate when I was 5. I just wanted to be Bruce Leroy. I thought I was the last dragon. I got stopped on the 5-block kata. I didn't even make it past the 5-block kata. But I mean, this is another reason why I'm so honored that each of these panelists decided to join this conversation. Because if you just look at the range of experience, the reflexive knowledge, the depth of relationship, the effortless, positive energy, and mind grapes, as it was once said on 30 Rock, this is a product of dedication for the past 20 years, not their entire lives. You know what I mean? And so what Jason Martin said is real. You start looking up, and you know everybody for so long, and everyone's just still on that same journey and working together, that a lot of times you forget how far you've traveled when you look back.
I actually wanted to add to what Jason said and what we've all collectively said as far as having that network of people. And I think a really important thing is to have genuine relationships. This business is so cutthroat and can be shady, and I've been able to have opportunities that I would have never thought. I started as a host, but then it turned into booking artists, being able to book artists for sports organizations that they have their own department to do that. But I nurtured my relationships, stop reaching out to people on some fake like, hey, how are you, when you know you're going to ask for a favor, and also look out for other people, because we can see that. So if you're going to ask for a favor, also look out for other people. Like Jason said, we've known each other for so long, but we're not hitting each other up to say like, hey, Head, can you get me into this show? Or can you give me this opportunity? Jason, can you hook me up with this artist for this feature? It's not that. Build genuine relationships, and they're going to want to naturally help you win and see you win.
100%.
She hit it on the head. I would say, too, and to add on to all of it, I know we keep adding on. I think the motto that when I was the most successful was when we wasn't trying to sign to Interscope, we were trying to be Interscope. So I say you get your 6-man crew and create. Fuck talking to anybody about anything for a second. Because the thing is, if you got to go ask them for the money, you're not ready to get it. They should be beating down your door to give it to you. So don't even talk to them yet. Don't even talk to them yet, man. Get your crew together and build with your crew. We were a crew. We ate breakfast in the morning and shit. We talked about it with each other. We fucking went to buy pro clubs together. Like, so this shit is not just us sitting up here. Like, I've been knowing these guys for a very long time. So I would suggest that. Like, try to be the major first before you go attach yourself.
Let's move on to the next thing. I know we're running short on time right here. And I think, again, we've been watching this, they've been calling it new media for about 10 to 15 years, right? Blogs and different stuff like that. So, but I feel like we're at an era now where independent voices are actually garnering a lot more credibility with the audience than a lot of, mainstream conversation, or even bigger platforms in a lot of ways. And everybody on this stage is a shining example of reinvention and resiliency. For each of you, what do you see in the current media environment? What challenges are you guys facing from an artist standpoint, as a media member standpoint? And where do you see, what do you see being more important on the horizon in the media space?
Okay, I'll go again. As far as for media, so
a lot of gentlemen on the stage, I see.
Yeah, when I first started, when I was doing interviews, I was focused on, I need to get this interview, and it needs to be a long-form 15-minute, 30-minute interview. And now with what social media and media has become, our attention span is very short, so everything has become clips. So I see now that when I'm requesting to do interviews, I'm not even trying to do an in-depth thing, which is weird to me because that's all I ever knew. So adapting to what's the few questions that's going to be that hit that's going to hold your attention for maybe 15, 30 seconds. I feel like it's all going into that, which I personally don't like it, just because when you want to sit with artists, there's so much to know about the story, but with how everything has changed, it's figuring out what's going to be the best, soundbite, which is unfortunate to me because I like talking. So that's what I think.
I remember what it was like being an artist and trying to shake a hand and hope somebody remember you in a week. I remember how. Matter of fact, you probably were one of the only interviews I had, Justin, where you remembered my name the second time you saw me, right? And I feel like there was lessons there in terms of, damn, if I gotta always rely upon these media outlets to remember me, I gotta do a whole lot more work just to reach the audience I'm supposed to have access to. Well, how can I bypass that? So for me, the route that I took was leaning in a little bit to YouTube and then a little bit more into YouTube. And now it's to the point where I think the most interesting thing that's happening, because I saw LeBron retweeted something about his podcast where one of the analysts was kind of talking crazy and saying,
Brian Windhurst.
Windhurst was saying, it's not going to work seeing LeBron sit here and talk for an hour about X's and O's. Nobody wants to see that.
He said they only want to see drama.
They only want to see drama. Doesn't that sound like a lot of the things that we've seen in terms of the change that hip-hop media has gone through? So what I'm seeing is that there's a space wide open for artists, for producers. I mean, active artists and producers, right? More active than me, which is, you can do this. It's possible. It's a lot of damn work, I'm telling you right now. But for you to do this, you got to remember, it was hard to even get in the door. Instead of looking at this as, damn, I got to make content, dog, you can make content and talk to the audience. You used to have to drive across the 405 freeway and meet with this person, and hope that they remembered how to spell your name. You know how many times my name is spelled with one S and didn't link back to my website? I got control over that now, literally by putting up a 15-second clip on Instagram, putting up a YouTube video, reacting to what's in the news, what's going on. I now have an audience that says, well, because you're talking about this with so much information, what does your music sound like? Glad you asked. I got a catalog. And I'm able to funnel that in a different way. The thing about it that I had to understand was two things. One, I'm still using my God-given gift, which is my voice, just in a different way. Two, somebody gave me game. They said, instead of begging for attention, try to figure out how not to be ignored. That was powerful for me because all I had to do was build it, and I knew the right people would come. So I think hip-hop media is in a great space. I think there's a lot of variety. I think that listeners want to go more in depth than just what they hear on a 40-minute album. They want to get to know, would I invite you over for a barbecue? Like, what kind of time are you on? I think it's a great time if you choose to look at this as something you don't have to do, but you get to do.
Well said.
You killing me? Because you ain't grab your mic. Oh, it's me?
Yeah.
I'm going to speak specifically about LA media. I love for the first time that we can disagree publicly and nobody gets shot. I think that's very, 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 very important moving forward. I think I said to somebody earlier, I don't have to like all your music because I don't like all of mine. But that don't mean you a bitch-ass nigga because I don't like your song neither. And I don't want you running up on me because you're going to get shot because I don't want to play with you because I don't like your song. But if I'm on a podcast and somebody asks me my opinion, I should be able to say it and nothing happened because that's just my opinion. I don't mean anything to your growth. Just like I don't feel like if I'm not on the complex list, I'm not top 50. That doesn't make it, no. That's not how people should be able to talk, have opinions, and let it be free-flowing, and they're just opinions. I think that's the beauty of the new media I'm seeing in L.A. media. As far as, like, overall, it's a little much for me. It's a little much for me because I'm from that era where you couldn't do this, so it's very different. It's a very different time, but I am learning to embrace it, and I hope that we keep doing it. From the artist standpoint, I'm still going to go back to, like, we so in a rush to do rapper shit. Like, I got to get interviewed. I got to get the podcast. I got to do this. But nobody's doing the work. Like, bruh, if you got to call them to set up your interview, it's not time to get interviewed. Trust me. They should hit you. Like, outwork people. Like, go to work. Like, work. Songs every day. Produce every day. Merch every day. Ideas every day. Like, every day. Not, damn, my baby mama tripping. I can't go to fuck her. She gonna trip if you go or you stay. Go do that work. You know what I'm saying? Oh, God, my foot hurt. Oh, I got to go to my real job. Well, you should probably stay at your real job because this is my real job, and I can't not do this because things are not going right. And that's that's what's gonna get you what you need from media. Like, don't chase anything. Don't chase majors. Don't chase media. If you're an artist from here, you're a producer from here, you're a manager from here, if you have to still call around, you have not done enough work yet. Like, I think we need to really get back to focusing on the work part of it. Like, the work. Oh, man, well, they ain't fucking with me. Yo, bad. Keep doing songs, because they wasn't fucking with me neither. They wasn't. They wasn't fucking with Head. Head been saying Coast Guard since 2008. He got recognized last year as it. We gonna talk about the guy, quote unquote Michael Jackson. He just got to that stage. He been here 15 years. That wasn't like when he first dropped the first album. Like, this shit is about the work. And with on the media side of it, I mean, I'm thinking that's the beauty of what we watching, because you watching actual media happen too up here. You know what I'm saying? Which is still scary for me as an artist. Because again, I still got to deal with what I say when I walk outside. You know what I'm saying? So that's the new thing that I'm even getting used to. I love it. But on the other side, it's like, ugh, I got to take it when it's bad about me too. You get what I'm saying? So that's the difference.
Well, sir. Got something real quick?
State of media for me is, like I said, when we launched Effective Media last year, I think we're in dire need of an overhaul. Not because the state of media is bad, but it's just we need more balance. You know what I'm saying? You can't get up every day and eat ice cream for breakfast without consequences at some point. And I think that, you know what I'm saying, you're going to pay that price. And I think that's kind of where we at in the media space. So, like, my hope is that we get a little bit more vegetation, some chlorophyll in the media. Shout out to the ladies who take their chlorophyll.
Ginger shots. Don't forget that.
Yeah, some ginger shots. I eat a lot of ginger. Make sure y'all drinking spring water, not purified. But anyway, that's kind of like my perspective. That's the quick way to say it. I think also, like, my aim is never to be that person. I'm not the clickbait dude. I'm not salacious. I don't, like, I've canned, I've trashed, deleted. Like, hey, bro, we need to, like, do, all right, fuck it, throw the whole shit away. Like, that's not the energy I'm on. That's not why I do what I do. I'm not here to get the click. I'm not here for that. I'm here, I literally started this journey because I looked at what Julio G did for us. You know what I'm saying? I looked at what Sway did for us. Sway's from the Bay, in case people don't know. I looked at these people and what they did for us, and I'm like, I want to do that for us. I mean, because as Jason know, when we was coming up, there were characters in the film, but none of them were a representation of what I thought, like, oh, this is what it should feel like. You know what I'm saying? This is what it should be like. And so I always try to look at it that way. People say I'm boring. So I intend to stay that way, stay on stream.
Stay on stream. We have one more closing question for everybody. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys and thank you for the next people as well. I know we're going over a little over time here. And so this last question is, what is something that was pivotal to your success that you would not, under any circumstances, advise someone else to do?
Hear me clearly. Don't do it yourself. Learn it yourself, and then what's the word to use? Delegate it. It's been so many times I delegated too late. And say it again. You know what? I do got to give you props on that. The best advice I got early on was, Curtis King, you know what your problem is? You trying to play fair in a game that is not fair. That came from DJ Head. He told me that at In and Out one time. He was like, you know, your problem is, what year was it? Got to be like 2012, 11. But it's great advice, because I think there's so many folks who think the industry is what they think it is until you go meet the industry and you recognize that don't nobody care about none of that shit you're talking about. Like, you need to have that reality check sometimes just to figure out, I need to stop wasting people's time. Even to that point earlier about media, a lot of folks reach out to me and I have to ask the question, what have you done, with all due respect, that is newsworthy, that people need to hear about? That they need to hear about, not what you and your homies think is What do they need to hear about? And I think when you start thinking of it in those terms, you start realizing, as Jason said, you start attracting the people because what you're doing is hard to ignore. So my thing is, try doing it yourself, and you're gonna recognize why I got bags under my eyes and sciatica nerve issues, and you know what I'm saying, sleep apnea and all that other stuff. I'm still trying to find. I'm not trying to find balance. I'm trying to find harmony. Big difference. So yeah.
I got a couple too, but one was like just thugging it out and not having a game plan. I have this. I had this come to Jesus with Silas one day in a Denny's in 2011. He's like, "What do you want to do?" I'm like, "I want to be successful." He asked me what that looked like. I said, "Nigga, like success. What the fuck you talking about?" He's like, "Well, what does that look like?" "I want to buy my mom a house and I want to make $10,000 a month. That's what success looked like for me, because we lived in this house. We had rats. I was broke until I was 31. I didn't have a car or nothing, right? So I lived with my mom until I was 31 years old. I didn't have a car. Was fucked up. Actually, when we recorded the Hotels mixtape, he picked me up from my mama's house and we went to his apartment, or Pun's. We went to Pun's apartment and we recorded the Hotels mixtape in Pun's bedroom, in real life. But anyway, I say that to say, I would not advise people to not have I'm writing a book now, but the preface of is what I took from that conversation with Silas, what I call an address. I would not advise anybody to do anything without an address. You start at the finish line and you reverse engineer how to get there. If I told y'all to pick me up somewhere in Inglewood, didn't tell you where I was, it'd take you forever to find me. That's how I look at life and goals and dreams and whatever. Because if you don't have a destination, you just drive around burning up gas. That's what I did in my 20s. That's the first one. The second one is when I was working on Big Boy Show, and they started to let me do fill-in shifts on the radio. I got ready to be on the radio right after Big Boy got off the air. I'm literally about to turn the microphone on and talk to the city at like 11 a.m., right? And in walks Jason Ryan. Jason Ryan is Big Boy's executive producer, been with him 25 plus years. He walks in the room, he says, "What are you doing?" And I look at him fucking crazy, because he's a white man coming in telling me, "What the fuck you doing?" I'm like, "What you mean, nigga? I'm finna get on the radio." And he says, "Why?" "What you mean, nigga? What you mean?" So I didn't have the diction to even articulate the fluster that I was experiencing, right?
That's a hell of a sentence. I didn't have the diction.
I'm sorry.
To articulate the fluster.
I was turned
experiencing
because God damn, nigga. Niggas don't want evolution.
I'm
huh?
definitely taking that fluster. That fluster, I'm taking that with me.
What I was saying was, nigga, I was irritated. Anyway, I was experiencing that, and I was like telling him I'm about to get on the radio, and he says, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because I'm about to talk on the radio." He's like, "Yeah, but why? Like, what's the reason you get on the radio?" And I'm like, I was just looking at him. I was befuddled. Like, I was just looking at him like. So I'm not understanding. So he said, "What is the listener benefit?" And I'm like, "What you mean?" He says, "Every time you turn your microphone on, what benefit are you providing to the people that's listening to you?" And so that's what I've carried for the last 10 years. It's like every time you see me, every time you hear me, I'm trying to bring some level of value, clarity, information, whatever it is, I need to bring value, because everybody walks around with a sense of entitlement, like they owe you a listen, nobody owe you shit. You know what I'm saying? It's actually a miracle for you to exist. Look that shit up. But statistically, you're not even supposed to be here, let alone be prosperous and be in the same room as other people and whatnot. But I look at it like that, like, what is the listener benefit? And so that's something that I carry with me.
Beautiful. Now take an applause for that. That's good.
Hey, man, congrats on the book, too. That's tight. How to write a book? That's fire. I would say, damn, I fucked up so much. Damn. I would say believing that this shit was reality was probably one of my biggest flaws. It worked because it created this character of like, well, fuck it, I'm on one. Fuck everybody, I'm tripping, I'm ready to do it. Because I thought this was real. Like, well, it's actually not. We're here to do music. We're not here to fight. We're not here to argue over women. We're not here to be late. We're not here to disrespect your other people that you do it with. You're really here to be a part of this business that's gonna run regardless if you're here or not. That it helped me get in the door, but it down there pushed me out because I just thought like, well, shit, he said that, so we supposed to go fuck him up, or they didn't do this, we supposed to go do that. I thought that's what my favorite rappers did until I met them and I found out they wasn't shit neither. So it was like you really understand like, damn, that's the vibrato you need to break over. But then once you break over and kind of look around, I wish I would have said, all right, chill the fuck out, dude. This is not Dern Avenue. This is not that. And that's one. Two, do not allow people to take credit for your work. I did that. I was a part of a collective. And being a part of a collective, that's gang mentality. It's us against them. And a lot of people don't know I produced like what? I produced Take Your Tights Off. I produced DTB. I produced my walkthrough. I produced my biggest record. And me not saying it probably slowed down my progress on that side of what I'm doing now. So if you did something, say you fucking did it, don't do nothing just to get in no door, because that's cap. And if anybody that's going to let you in the door by doing that to you, don't fuck with them no more.
So if you have a dream or a passion, or you know what your purpose is in this world, don't depend on one person or one company to save you or do the work for you. This is literally something God tried to tell me so many times throughout my career. And, sometimes when God tells you something, you hear it, but you don't want to listen because it's scary to listen. And it was always, stop working for a full-time job because what you want to do isn't going to fit with just one company and you're going to be boxed in. So how many of you have been laid off from a job? How many of you have been laid off from the same company twice? Okay, so that's when I finally learned my lesson. So God was like, all right, I tried telling you subtly, but you're not listening. So this is when I worked for Warner Music Group, and this was 2021, and it was as their Twitch host, and I definitely thought I was going to be good. Like, they're never going to run out of money. This is going to be great. It's a record label. I'll be able to work with all their artists. It's going to be amazing. I got laid off because they said that they didn't have the budget anymore to do the whole Twitch project we were doing. So I get laid off. Then we had to go a month of negotiating, like, okay, doing contract work. So we went back and forth negotiating for a month for what that was going to look like, and we were going to start that in January. We start in January, and then by the end of January, they asked for a meeting with the whole LA department, and then we got laid off again. So I'm like, okay, I think I'm not supposed to be here because that's a very clear sign. But I am thankful for that. But at the time, I was very frantic about how am I going to pay my bills in LA. I just got laid off for the second time. I bet on Warner and that salary, and that's it. And then I pretty much cut off everything else, and that was my focus and my priority. But every day I was looking for jobs, and I went on LinkedIn. I highly recommend it. And I saw that the Dodgers were looking for an in-game host, so I applied. And I never thought to ever be an in-game host in sports because I've only been a host for music since 2010. So I don't know anything about sports. That's what I told them when I did the interview. But I went through a whole audition process. A lot of people assume that I got to Dodgers knowing somebody at the organization who handed me that job. But no, I had to get laid off from a job that I thought was going to be my safety net and security. Go on LinkedIn, apply for this job, do an audition at the stadium, compete against all these people, and audition with other hosts. And now I have a gig with an organization, and it's my favorite hosting gig I ever had. And it's the World Champion Dodgers. But had Warner not laid me off the second time, I would have never went on LinkedIn. So don't think you have to stay at one company. And if you do get laid off, or if you don't get an opportunity within music, or you don't get something that you thought you really needed, just have faith and trust that if God's literally trying to push you out of that or took it away from you, it's because there's so much more for you that's better than what you're holding on to. So, yeah.
Word up.
Really quick on-
Right, time.
Really, really quick.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. Because for anybody that goes the route of where's my music career going to go, I was at a point, really quick, where I didn't know what my music career was going to look like once YouTube took off. God said, I never said no. I just said not right now. That's it.
That's beautiful. This is the conclusion of Culture United Live. This is the first one. Y'all, the first audience ever to see Culture United Live. It's all happening. My one thing, real quick, that I would not advise anyone to do is don't host a radio show or a podcast drunk. Okay? Don't do that. You will go viral, but it's not sustainable. Okay. Thank you guys so much for joining this conversation today. This is recorded, so this will be posted online. We'll have social clips and things like that. I'm gonna hang around for a while. I know some people have tight schedules here, and there's someone else coming into the Crumpers are coming in, I think, later on. So I'm definitely gonna stick around and check that out. But I'll be around if you guys want to have a conversation or to touch base, and post everything to social clip. This is amazing for me. This is a 10-month journey, and I'm excited and thankful for all of you here. So it's all happening. Do you guys have any?
Thank you, Jay. It's all happening.
Word up. Word up.